How's it going, everybody? It's Azir and the Pedantic. Last Monday's session was brief enough that I can cover it very, very quickly. We began at the session at the Moat House with Dane the Paladin and Grumbar the Fighter bursting through a sturdy door. 9 bandits stood ready with weapons drawn. Elmo's brother Otis, bound and gagged, sat in the back of the room. Initiative was rolled, and immediately blood was spilled as Grumbar's flail caved in a bandit's skull at the end of its charge. Some crossbow bolts flew toward the charging heroes, but the only shot that would have found a victim was deftly avoided by Dane the Paladin. Plum the Cleric cast light upon the eyes of the greatest fighter among the bandits, who was obviously so because he was decked in chain, while the rest were pretty much in standard leather armor. By the rules, there is no saving throw for light when it's cast upon an enemy's eyes, but it doesn't follow the target. Since we cast light upon objects all day without issue, my ruling was that a save versus spell lets them avoid the spell, but failure means the light remains on them until dispelled or the duration ends, which is a really, really long time. Thus, the bandit leader is substantially weakened because I rolled, I think, a 2 whenever it was time to roll the saving throw. So another bandit fell as Leofric the Cleric charged in with his mace, and at that point it was time to check for morale. They have a 50% base morale check, just as anybody else does, but with the modifiers of an added 5% due to the quartering of their men, another 10% for taking casualties without delivering any. I also decided that bursting in and blinding the leader was worth another 5%, making the total morale check for these guys 70% likelihood of morale failure. And I rolled a 75, a 60, a 55, 2 39s, and a 26. So the results were basically that one enemy continues fighting, one enemy opts for a fighting retreat, and the rest flee in panic. This demonstrates the power that the morale check has over your game, as what I anticipated to be a deadly encounter where at least one player character death was probable ended up in a single round of combat before the enemy's ranks crumbled. The bandits began to flee out the crumbled wall to the east, taking careful leaps from stone to stone across the moat. Beak the Ranger slew a bandit with his sputum, and Leofric, Grumbar, and Dane all tackled the blinded bandit leader. After Oswald the Halfling's parting shot cracked a stone-hopping bandit's skull open, the body being pulled into the water and wrestled around presented a new problem for the retreating bandits. There was a crocodile lurking in the waters. 2 of the bandits escaped, one of whom wounded by Beak's arrow, and Beak told the others he believed he could track them down if time permitted. The remaining bandits, all 3 of them, were too happy to surrender to the paladin and clerics rather than take their chances with enormous reptiles, slings, and arrows. The group learned that the bandits hadn't been there long and were exceedingly cautious about where they ventured in this place. Strange growls could be heard down the stairs, but for some reason the source had yet to reveal itself. Were I in a better mental state when I ran the game, I would have mentioned that the bandits had kept their scouting primarily to the courtyard, since a couple of their men had gone missing. But for those who paid attention to the channel, that game was run on the day that I discovered people were saying a bunch of stuff about me. That's beside the point. While Leofric convinced the bandits to devote themselves to St. Cuthbert with a ritualistic head bonking, Solgar, the magic user, urged the group to search the chamber more thoroughly. It wasn't long until a chest was discovered buried in the rubble. One that the bandits seemed all too eager to keep hidden until it could be retrieved at a later date. They winced audibly as their loot was uncovered. With the bandits tied up, loot retrieved, and Otis rescued, the party explored a few more rooms in the west wing of the moat house before returning to Hommlet. So far, the first floor hasn't been completely uncovered, but most of it has. I rolled for random encounters on the trip home, and nothing arose. They arrived back at Hommlet with the only true casualty being Spugnoise, the magic user. Elmo handed over the bag of gold that he promised, as well as his axe. Otis had a look of shame upon him, as the axe was a gift he gave to his brother some time ago, and it was now being used as payment for his rescue. Leofric urged Elmo to keep the axe. Elmo and Otis were now greatly indebted to the party, was pretty touching, honestly. There never was a full expectation that Otis would be returned alive, but not only did they return Otis pretty much unharmed, but they also rejected an incredibly valuable reward. Needless to say, some potent allies were gained from this exchange. They then brought the bandit captives to the Church of St. Cuthbert, where they met Calmert, the priest, a deceptively young but codgerly sort. After explaining the situation, Calmert was eager to have these bandits repay their debt to society by working on Rufus and Burns' castle construction nearby. Dane also donated some gold to the church, and several of the group agreed to attend Sunday's service, winning some affinity, I suppose, from Calmert. We ended the session with the treasurer eager to take their winnings to the trading post where Dane and Beak last found there to be something suspicious afoot. Oswald frustratingly finds himself with enough experience points to level, but not enough time or money to make it happen. I'm left with some questions. Do I continue with this stubborn adherence to the training rules? Do I continue trying to make first edition's Baroque initiative system happen? So far, yes to both. We'll see how long the players and I are willing to put up with it. That's it for this week. What happened? We play again tomorrow, so we'll see how that goes. We're going to play in Dark Shelf. This is Group B. I'll let y'all know how it turns out. Peace out.